Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff and CEO. On behalf of the Glenelg Shire, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional lands and waters of the Bunditjmara people and their respective cultural heritages. I acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging throughout the Glenelg Shire. Recordings of our meetings to those present in the gallery today by attending the public meeting of council. You are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Council meetings may be live streamed and the Chief Executive Officer will enable a copy of the recordings to the public. Councillors, this evening we will stand for a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This council condemns the tragedy at Bondi and we stand firmly with those affected. Thank you. We'll move on. Receipt of apologies. There are no apologies tonight, CEO. No apologies tonight. Confirmation of the minutes, please, councillors. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that the minutes of the statutory council meeting held on the 19th of November 2025 and the council meeting held on 25th of November 2025 as circulated be confirmed.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. A seconder, Councillor Carr.
A second, Madam Mayor.
Any comments on that, Councillor McDonald?
No, thank you.
I'll put it to the vote. Moved by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Carr. Those in favour? Carried. Councillors, before we move on to the agenda this evening, I'd just like to take a moment to recognise the passing of Mrs Anne Grant on the 22nd of November 2025. Anne was a much respected community member here in Portland and the founder of the Portland History House. She dedicated many, many years. We're absolutely not quite sure, but it's well over 25 years of her service, and her legacy lives on in the history held at History House. And it's now a place that preserves our shared stories and honours the history that's shaped who we are here in the Glenelg Shire. I've said to her son in my letter that her passion, leadership and commitment to the community have left an enduring mark that will be felt for generations to come. Our sincere condolences to her son, Ewan Grant. Councillors, we'll move on to item 5.2, record of councillor briefings. There's a recommendation there on page 4. Councillor Noski.
Madam Mayor, happy to move the recommendation in its entirety.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Angelino. Any comments, Councillor Noski?
No, it's not.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Noski, second by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? That is carried. Declarations of conflicts of interest on tonight's agenda, please, councillors.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a conflict of interest in relation to item 7.6.
9.6?
9.6.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you, CEO. That's in relation to your contract. Thank you. We'll move on, councillors. The item 7.1 is the activity reports. Councillor Jowett, as Deputy Mayor, can you go first, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to pull out a few items that I attended during the month. The Portland and District Kennel Club Championship Dog Shows that were held in Hayward on the 8th. I really enjoyed going to this event, seeing all the different breeds of dogs. and seeing them perform was quite interesting. The public policing forum that I attended was a unique opportunity to hear firsthand of the problems and challenges faced by our local police and for members of the public to raise issues directly with them. And finally, the leadership training program that I attended in Melbourne, although this was mandatory training for mayors and deputy mayors, I really enjoyed the day. It was an extremely informative session and it helped me to get a more effective grasp on what it is to be a deputy mayor in the months and years ahead. Beyond the training itself, it was a valuable opportunity to meet and talk to mayors and deputy mayors from all around Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jarman. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I think it was the first ever perfect weather that they've had for the Bonnie Upwelling celebrations, creating an incredible atmosphere. The crowds were enormous, and I'd like to congratulate the committee on such a successful event. The Tri-State Games launch, the official launch of the Games with Portland in its second year as host, saw teams travel large distances to join the competitions here and the festivities. Participants from our local teams raised the flag and also read the oath to affirm the spirit of the Games, which they were very excited to do. Following that was the gala dinner at the end of the week, held to finish the Games with a live band, including two of Council's multi-talented staff, delivering just what the eager dancers were hoping for. It was a night of energy, newly formed friendships and great pride as medals and trophies were awarded from the week-long program. The Alliance Day in Warrnambool, as mentioned, an incredibly valuable day of informed presentations and discussions with our neighbouring shires around effective community representation, decision-making, integrity and accountability, strategic planning and financial management. The agenda included topics such as governance, regional economies, political advocacy, planning reforms, ombudsman statistics for our region, technology opportunities and issues facing our business and agricultural sectors. So we covered a lot on that day. The 16 days of activism, there was a launch and a film viewing. The purpose of the 16 days is simple but powerful, and that's to shine a light on gender-based violence, to raise awareness, to educate, to stand in solidarity with victim survivors and to strengthen our collective commitment to creating safer, more respectful communities. We value the strong partnerships across the region and are proud to stand alongside organisations, services and community members who share this commitment. The film, made with students engaged in the O project in schools over the past 10 years, highlights the needs of children who have experienced family violence and a program designed to support their recovery in terms of building self-esteem, feeling valued and being heard. We can only hope that government funding will continue to provide such opportunities and initiatives for victims. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Angelino.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll just find... during the month, there was the actual Wood Days, and the Wood Days have been run by the Divestons in Hayward, a property about near Milltown. And in that time, they've raised over $530,000 for a cancer group, part of the Children's Hospital, Cancer in Kids Auxiliary. And it was a great day. We went there. They have horses. They cut timber, how I did with different kinds of saws. There's activities. It's just a great event, and for over 30 years, and actually they were nominated and got an award from the Dan Tean in Colway a couple of weeks ago, and it was a great event. I think you went there, Madam Mayor, and it was just great. But this family have spent so much time and effort in helping this group in Melbourne. Also, I went to the Bendigo Bank, and that was a Bendigo Bank in Hayward. They had a community grants where they gave out approximately $150,000 in grants for the year. All the different community groups, all the profit that's made from the actual bank after expenses for the staff is actually donated back to the community. And I was welcome to accept the LTP program, which we got some money for that to help people in in Hayward actually learn how to drive there and on the LTP actually program. Also the Hayward's Men's Shed, they've had their AGM, and Terry Sparrow, who's been a very great advocate for about 20 or 30 years there, he was a step back, and we've got a new president, and we'll support him because that Men's Shed actually does such great work in Hayward, in that community. But no, it was a great week and month of all those events that we've attended, so thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Carr, Noski or Pepper, did you want to make any comments on your activities?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on the Councillor McDonald went to the launch of the 16 Days of Activism on family violence, and I attended the barbecue breakfast and walked down through the town, which was a little bit disappointing in terms of not a lot of people turned out. Certainly very few people came for breakfast, which meant, of course, that the Salvation Army won about 5 dozen eggs for their food hampers, which was fantastic for them. But more people turned up for the moment of the walk, and that came down and finished up in the Civic Centre, went through. And that's a program that Rotary's been active in over the last number of years, and is very active in this area with good cause, I think, because I think in Glenelg Shire we have a significant issue with family violence that's a bit above the state averages, so that was fine. And also just echoing Councillor Angelino's words about Terry Sparrow's role at the Hayward Men's Shed. I think been involved for some 20 odd years and president for the last 11, and he's stepping back for personal reasons, but he is staying on as vice president to help the new president work his way through into the role. But yeah, another month.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to Robbie for putting me on the list.
We'll get you to do it next time. Councillor Pepper, Councillor Carr.
Just one comment, Madam Mayor. I also attended the 3 Bays Marathon run by the Portland Runners Club, which is on the same weekend as the Upwelling, and I think the two events complement each other quite well, and that Portland was obviously put the weather on, and it was just a fantastic weekend in its entirety. And well done to the Portland Runners Club on a successful event.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. Councillors, look, I certainly thank you for all the events you attended, and there's a list of, meetings, etc., that I attended, from, freight committees to cross-border to Remembrance Day, Men's Shed, etc. So, look, and the one volunteer awards in Colac, it was certainly, Councillor Angelino, pleasing to see so many Glenelg volunteers being recognised at the awards in Colac, which is the annual federal government awards. Obviously, our electorate is one, and so it certainly was wonderful to see. And of course, Councillor Jowett, I also attended my mandatory training as well, so I've ticked all my boxes. So thank you. So thank each and every one of you for all that you've done throughout the last month, throughout the community. So thank you very much. Councillors, there is a recommendation there on page 12, please. Is somebody prepared to move? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the recommendation that Council notes the Council activity reports for the 1st of November 2025 to the 30th of November 2025.
Thank you. A seconder for that, please. Councillor Jowett. No further comment, no. Councillor McDonald?
No,
Councillor Jowett? Okay, I'll move that. Councillor McDonald has moved and Councillor Jowett has seconded. Those in favour? That is carried. There are no notices of motion tonight, councillors. We'll move on to management reports. The first one tonight is 9.1, the adoption of Council's policy for community funding and support policy. Mr Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council's existing community funding and support policy was adopted at the July 2024 Council meeting. It continues to form the basis of the Community Grants Program over 2 rounds every year and is supported by the Community Grants Program guidelines. This 12-month review was instigated by feedback from both councillors and the community following several rounds of the grants process in which the policy was applied to, demonstrating a commitment to the engagement principles of the Local Government Act, in that changes are being recommended following feedback from community members that are representative of the persons and groups affected by the matter. This amended policy includes key updates as detailed in the report, such as further alignment with Council's own diversity and beneficial community impact commitments, removing or clarifying ambiguous or unnecessary language, and ensuring alignment with other state and federal funding criteria. Of particular note is the incorporation of the ageing well category into the overarching classifications of the community grants, enabling allocation of resources and support for programs addressing the unique needs and priorities of the ageing community. This evening I present the community support and funding policy to Council for adoption.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillors, we've had plenty of discussion and briefings on this. There's a recommendation there on page 16.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an amended...
I'm sorry,
I would like to move an amended recommendation.
It's a recommendation, so amended motion. You don't need to move an amendment. It will be a motion.
Yeah.
What's your motion?
Thank you. The motion that I'd like to move on this is that Council firstly assesses applications for the second round of 25-26 community grants using the existing policy adopted by Council on July 24, 2024, with the addition of a section for ageing well with $50,000 applied to it, which was approved in the budget. And the second item is that Council endorses the draft community funding and support policy CPO CDEB GE 001 in its entirety for community consultation, with a view for the resulting policy document to apply from July 1, 2026.
No.
Do you want a copy of that, Madam Mayor?
I can give you a copy of that.
Be good. Be good. Okay. Can I just clarify here? Mm-hmm. So you're asking us to assess the next round, so the January 2026, February 26,
yep,
on the current policy?
Yes.
To include the ageing well, $50,000. But then you're asking us to endorse the draft policy, the draft policy as tonight.
For community consultation under the CEP.
So if we endorse the draft policy...
For community consultation, and that consultation doesn't need to occur before the next round of... It can occur in March, April next year. So it doesn't confuse the funding round.
I just need to have a moment to think that if we endorse the draft community funding and support policy, the Council endorses that, then we're saying that we agree with it.
No, it's endorsed for community consultation. And as is normally the case, after that community consultation, it will come back to Council for adoption at some stage.
There's nothing in the governance rules relating to that.
Could have we endorsed it?
No, we do endorse things to go out for community consultation.
Okay. So we're going to endorse the draft community funding policy in its entirety as it sits for community consultation, with a review for the resulting policy document to apply from the 1st of July 2026.
Yep.
Okay. There's a mover. That's the mover. Do we have a seconder for that?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Noski, would you like to talk to that?
Yeah, I would. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move it for a number of reasons. The first...
Councillor Noski, you're going to have to talk clearly.
The first of those reasons is that already on our, as I think has been pointed out by Councillor Carr in an email within the last couple of days, already on our website we are inviting people to submit applications for the next round, and we're quoting the existing policy document as being that which applies to the funding round. The second reason
Can
is
I
that...
just seek clarification on that? Are we already calling for application?
We shouldn't be, Madam Mayor.
No, we shouldn't be. Councillor Noski, can I just pick that point up? That if it's on our website, we will be saying to community groups that we have 2 rounds of funding, one that happens at the beginning of the year and one that happens in the new financial year. That's standard practice, and it has been standard practice for some time.
But we are quoting the current policy document as being that which applies.
Okay. I won't split hairs.
The second reason is that we're told that the clause to do with gaming revenues, making organisations that have revenue from gaming revenues to be ineligible, was a feature of the policy before June 24, and I found that very hard to verify. And in fact, the only thing that I could find before June 24 was the document that was the attachment list for the April 2024 council meeting, where it had the list of applications to the funding round for the community grants, and in that there was a grant application from the RSL Bowling Club for a community project, and the comment in that funding round was that the project, whilst it wasn't funding, it was eligible for funding. So it would appear that organisations that clearly had gaming machine revenues were eligible for funding prior to June of 24. Also, we're told that it was in line with state and federal government policy, and again, I found that hard to verify. The 25-26 state governments sporting clubs grants policy has been released, and the funding criteria for that most definitely do not detail any ineligibility because of gaming machine revenues in that policy. So I think that making the change tonight would not necessarily be an appropriate thing to do. Also, Councillor McDonald has raised queries about some of the criteria and the definitions about what is a large building, a large not-for-profit, and what isn't. And finally, I actually moved that we adopt the draft policy, or we endorse the draft policy in its entirety, because some of those things I have some sympathy for, but we, as a council, you only have to look at the auditor's performance statement later in the meeting to see that under governance heading, the auditors picked out that the latest community satisfaction survey gives us a score of 43% against our target of 58% in terms of council's consultation and engagement. And this is a policy that went out with consultation.
You've well and truly done your 3 minutes. Just well and truly.
Motion.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to speak?
Move to extend, Madam Mayor.
What's that?
Move to extend speaking time for council.
I won't take long.
Wait up, in a second.
Second. What's that?
Sorry, I was back to you, Madam Mayor.
Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Jarrett. Those in favour? Carried. Continue, Councillor Noski.
Yep. But this is a policy that went out for community consultation when it was adopted in June of 24, and I think that adopting a revised policy with what may seem to be a couple of quite controversial clauses in it just 18 months later isn't going to help the perception amongst our residents of council's consultation and engagement policies. So
Thank you, Councillor Noski. Does anybody wish to speak against this motion?
Could I ask a question? No.
Sure.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Could we just seek clarification on the situation in terms of the state policy around that? That Councillor Noski has said he could not find?
Well, I found it.
Oh.
I couldn't find.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
couldn't
Thank
find-
you.
Yeah.
Mr Jackson, are you able to help me with the state government policy around the gaming licences for funding?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have it in front of me right now, but the last round of funding applications contains, within the eligibility requirements, contains a section that says will not be funded, and part of that section talks to organisations with gaming machines.
I think that was.
policy?
Thank you, Councillor Noski. It was cited in one of our reports that we had.
Yeah.
Did anybody? Did you have a further question, or did you want to make a comment?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor McDonald.
I'd just like to make the comment that current research actually shows that EGMs, electronic gaming machines, do cause the greatest harm across communities. So I think it's something that we really need to look closely at. Clearly, our statistics for loss in our shire was, I think, the greatest in the last 12 months. So I think we shouldn't be taking that lightly. I sat in on a not an anti-gambling forum, but a gambling alliance reform forum recently, where there was a lot of discussion about how sporting associations are all withdrawing from having gaming machines because of the harm that it's doing. There were stories cited of 14-year-old children running out from the subs bench, comparing the bets that they'd put on in terms of something that was happening in an AFL game in Melbourne, and the whole gambling situation is obviously an issue for communities. I looked at a lot of regional councils and city councils, and quite a lot of them have policies against supporting community funding for gaming, associations that have revenue from gaming. So it's certainly something that I think we need to look at very, very closely.
Thank you. Is somebody, if you have got a question, Councillor Anthony?
Can I move the recommendation? Can I move a recommendation? Or
There is a motion that's active at the moment, so no, it will have to be an amendment.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine. Is there someone to speak for the motion? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I think it's good that we've had a look at this policy. There was a lot of opportunities to make some amendments to it. Some of those amendments are good, and it will have a wide-ranging impact on many of our volunteer not-for-profit organisations in a positive way. But I think it's good governance, Madam Mayor, that because it is an outward-facing policy, we get many applications. It does get looked at by many organisations, and they do use it to the benefit of our ratepayers, that we give them the opportunity to review it and provide us feedback in a timely manner so that we can then make an informed decision on behalf of all community members. Hence why I've supported the motion that's tabled. It isn't saying we're not going forward, is it? What we're saying, my understanding is, let's send it out as it is, let's get the feedback, make an informed decision. We already have a current policy, and then everybody, should it be endorsed before June the 1st, which is what the motion says, it gives all organisations clarity on what they can and can't apply for in the next financial year, which makes a lot of sense to me, hence I support the motion that's tabled.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Is any councillor wishes to speak against the policy, the motion?
Not against. I do want to speak though.
Pardon?
I do want to speak though, but not against.
Thank you.
Thank
Go for
you.
it.
I think there is some logic in having our round 1 and round 2 of our community grants happening under the same policy. As I said, it makes sense that we don't have different rules for the same funding year with round 1 and round 2 happening under different rules. Thank you.
Okay.
If I could close, if no one else wants to speak.
I'll make a comment.
Yeah.
Just think, the motion that's on the table in relation to, I think that this council spent quite a bit of time reviewing this policy, and we're adding in the ageing well of an extra $50,000. And I don't believe that this needs to go back out to community for engagement. It is a policy. It is not a strategy or a plan. It is a policy. So setting that precedence would be, you know, the changes are not monumental. I would like to see us move forward with clarity, with the policy when we go out to our community. Our community look forward to this. The positive is we've got an extra $50,000 in the bucket for this financial year. So let's move forward with that. I won't be supporting the motion as it stands. Councillor Noski, as the mover, do you wish to close?
Yeah, I do. Thanks. I'll just point out that the motion does include the $50,000 of ageing well funding into this next round of the 2025-26 community grants. And I'd also like to just comment that I share Councillor McDonald's concerns over gambling and gambling harm, and that's why I ask that the policy in its entirety goes out for community comments so that we get a full the community has a full chance to look at all of the issues that have been raised. And I think the comments made by other councillors are sympathetic also to my view that we provide continuity and certainty over the financial year. And I urge councillors to vote for it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll put the motion as it's tabled by Councillor Noski. Those in favour? Those against? It is carried 4-3. Following the division?
No.
Thank you, councillors. We'll move on, councillors, to the adoption of the Domestic Animal Management Plan, please. Mr Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Domestic Animal Management Plan is a statutory legislation for council every 4 years. The plan has been out for community consultation. We had some good feedback. The report outlines some of the key themes with the community comment. Particular ones was stronger enforcement, particularly around cat curfews, stricter animal management requirements, clearer education, community support for responsible owners, and wildlife protection are some of the elements we've highlighted there in the report. Madam Mayor, the plan covers majority of the feedback. It will be supported by annual action plans going forward, should it receive council adoption.
Thank you, Mr Hall. Councillors, there's a recommendation there on page 20, tonight's agenda. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the recommendation that Council considers the community feedback received on the Domestic Animal Management Plan 2026 to 2029, adopts the Domestic Animal Management Plan 2026 to 2029 in its entirety, authorises the Director of Corporate Services to provide a response to those members of the community who provided feedback to the Domestic Animal Management Plan 2026 to 2029.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Angelino. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. There's been a lot of consultation with the community over this, a lot of observation, a lot of consideration of the issues involved, and I think the community realise that any unobservance of the rules in terms of animal management in the public realm is a very, very small minority of people, and we just need to work through the enforcements in that policy to protect the community and to respect those rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Angelino.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd also like to thank Mr Hole and his team for putting this management plan together. It's gone out to consultation, and we've had people write in, and being new in the council, I have noticed and had a few requests about the way we look after our domestic animals, and hopefully that moving forward it will get better adherence, and it will be moving forward. It'll be a better policy, and we'll move forward for the next couple of years. So thanks, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Mr Hole.
Thank you. Is there anybody wish to speak against the motion? Any further comments? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I think 4 years ago, Madam Mayor, all our complaints we got and all our feedback was in relation to dogs and dogs off leads and things like that. And the tables have turned and all our complaints are about cats.
So we fixed up the dog problem, now we've got a cat problem.
So the dogs aren't a problem anymore. But we probably do ask the community to start looking after your cats, specifically at night when they're out hunting, because the majority of feedback related to cats, and we're going to have to consider strongly how we as a council and as a community manage that as we go forward.
Thanks, Councillor Carr. Thank you. On behalf of Council, Mr Hall, could you please extend our thanks to your staff for all the work that they've done, and look, I really do thank the community for their feedback. And it's always an interesting one when we get the opposite feedback 4 years later. We must have been doing something right, but obviously we need to make sure that perhaps there'll be more funding from the state government in relation to desexing of cats. So let's hope that there's some money available. Councillors, the motion is moved in its entirety as tabled on page 20 tonight. Moved by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on to 9.3, which is the adoption of Council's policy, procurement policy. Mr Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Procurement policy is also a statutory requirement for a council to review at least once during its council term. Our current policy expires basically now. This particular work in front of council tonight represents some work that started well over 6 months ago, looking at other councils, refining through the MAV template. There's been a number of discussions with councillors. Generally, the policy is not largely different than the existing one over the last 4 years. It does tighten up some of the language and how some areas are treated, and in particular it makes it specific the mandatory weighting to do with local content and environmental management. Madam Mayor, happy to put it up to council.
Thank you, Mr Hall. Councillors? Councillor Pepper.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to, if I may, make an amendment to the recommendation.
Certainly. Your motion will be?
It will be 1, adopts procurement policies with amendments. A, being that the CEO limited delegated limit amended to 400,000, and B, quarterly reports to council on contracts signed under the CEO's delegation, and 2, revokes procurement policy CPO Corps CP 001 endorsed by council on the 14th of December 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Pepper. Councillors, are you clear on the motion that's been moved by Councillor Pepper? Is somebody prepared to second that, please? Councillor Carr.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Pepper, would you like?
I'd like to move an amendment to this amended motion. Oh, is that possible?
And your amendment would be?
That the part that speaks to social procurement, instead of being dropped from 25% down to 15%, remains at 25%. That would be my amendment.
Is the mover happy to include that amendment?
Yes.
Thank you. The seconder happy with that?
You said the amendment.
The amendment?
You're happy?
Yes.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor. The amendment, the amended and the amendment. Yes, I know what it is.
You know what it is?
Yep.
Councillor Pepper.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, we've had a lot of discussion with this, with all councillors and staff, and we've gone through it pretty well, and the staff have been, Mr Hole and his team have been very patient with us so that we can get this right. And I do congratulate Mr Hole and his team for getting this up. And I've been thinking about it sort of since, and we've all had during briefing sessions, we've all had a lot of input into it. And the first part of my amendment is I believe that 400k, which is exactly double the staff, is good enough for the CEO. And the second part, with the quarterly reports to council, it gives us that little bit more accountability and traceability that we've been striving for. I feel like in the policy there is a lot more where projects are going to be coming to council for us, you know, so we're going to know more about it, which is a really good thing. And also, more importantly too, is that the policy also allows for local businesses to put in for contracts, and it's something that Councillor Carr's been big on, and I'm with him on that. And so, overall, I believe the policy is good and we're happy with it, but thinking about it, Madam Mayor, I just would like those couple of amendments put in, and so that's why I've changed the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pepper.
Sorry, Mayor. Mr Hole would just like to make a point of clarification with the amendment.
With the amendment?
To the amendment.
If I may, just to clarify Councillor Jowett's amendment, the current policy says up to 25%. It's not at 25%. So just clarifying with the way I understood Councillor Jowett, he said it was going to be 25% and mandatory, or is it the status quo?
Can I just clarify something? So, Mr Hole, when we refer to up to 25% of social procurement, I was thinking in my mind that was what was in the policy. So the social procurement is about, so how would you assess that when you were doing your matrix?
The type of the contract, the availability of local suppliers and the competition would dictate there'll be a mandatory component for social procurement, but it may not be 25%. Is it the councillor's intention to mandate that at 25% for every contract?
So, Councillor Jowett, are you happy to maintain it up to 25%?
Yes, remain as
it's there, up to 25%.
As it stands at the moment.
So it's as it's in the policy. And I mean, there's a reason why sometimes the social procurement is not applicable to certain contracts. So there's that flexibility there. So if we retain that flexibility, are you happy with
Absolutely.
that? Right. I think, okay. Are you happy with that, Mr. Hall? I mean, that's what I'm saying. In my mind, was up to 25%. Right. Councillor Carr, I think we were at yourself. You're the seconder.
I think it's all been said, Madam Mayor.
Sorry?
I'm happy with what's been said.
Yes. Do you have a question, Councillor Nosky?
No, Madam Mayor,
or a
I'd like
comment?
to ask the mover and seconder if they would accept one further amendment to the motion.
You can try me. No, try me. No, Councillor Nosky, through me.
What is the amendment?
Can you please ask
No, you speak.
Can I move a further amendment to the motion, Madam Mayor?
I'm wanting to know what what the amendment might be?
From the very first time that I had heard that we write contracts for suppliers where the contract price that we write is an amount over and above their tendered price that includes our...
So are you moving an amendment or you have a question?
Yeah, no, I'm moving an amendment that we have a new definition put into the Appendix A, which is a definition of an initial contract value, and that definition is that the initial contract value be the price tendered to the council by the successful supplier.
I don't have Appendix A open in front of me.
No.
Is it an amendment to the language that's currently in there, or is it a brand new?
Is that the one, yeah?
It's well, the item that's in there talks about the total contract price, and it includes an estimate of contingency. And we've had examples given to us over the last 12 months where we've written, and the last one was last council meeting, where we wrote an order for spray sealing, which was 10% above the tendered price because we'd allowed for a 10% contingency. And I don't believe that is responsible procurement management. I've never seen it in 46 years of running contracts.
That's not an amendment. I'll take it as a question. I'm going to take it as a question, and maybe we can frame up an amendment if needed.
Yeah,
Mr. Moyne, are you happy to make comment on that discussion?
Happy to provide
Thank
some
you very much.
clarification. So contingency isn't included within the contract price, and the reference by Councillor Noski before around the reseal contract relates to a provisional sum, which isn't contingency itself. That deals with potential variations and uncertainties in a job. That's an important component of a road contract or a capital project itself. A provisional sum is not a contingency.
Thank you. So when we sign a contract, the contract price is the contract price, and variations are then discussed with the CEO, and over and above your delegation, it then goes to the CEO.
That's correct. We award contracts at a contracted price with no additional contingency. Contingency sits outside of the contract price.
Thank you. Is that clear, councillors?
No, it's not. I mean, what is the provision for? You provided us in this case with the quote from the successful tenderer at a price for the works that we specified, and then we wrote a contract for an extra 10%. And you said at the time that is provisional variations, and it would have to be proven. But in terms of procurement policy, in 46 years of being involved in that area, I have never seen companies that wrote contracts for anything other than the tendered price, and then they deal with variations and contingencies and changes as they occur.
So, Councillor Noski, I think the answer has been the contract price is the contract price, and that is what it is. We have put provisions in there, as Councillor Pepper has said, for quarterly reports to this council. We know what the thresholds are, the delegations of our directors at 200,000, and the CEO, Councillor Pepper, is suggesting at 400,000. So that's quite clear. So I think the question has been answered. Councillor Pepper, did you have something you wanted to comment on?
Madam Mayor, I was just going to say that with the amendment recommendation, that I'm happy to leave it as is. I don't want to see any other amendments in it, and we can perhaps revisit it in 12 months' time.
If needed.
If needed.
Okay, so we're quite clear, councillors, that we're going to... Councillor Pepper's motion is that we adopt the procurement policy as listed there, with the CEO's delegation at $400,000 and quarterly reports of contracts assigned under the CEO's delegation to come back to Council. And Councillor Jowett, you understand that the policy has social procurement up to 25% as needed, so that doesn't need to be as part of the amendment because it's actually written into the policy itself. So that's clear. And number two, that we revoke the procurement policy that was endorsed by Council on the 14th of December 2021. I'm going to move, that was moved by Councillor Pepper and second by Councillor Carr. I'm going to put that to the vote, please. Those in favour? That is 5. Those against? 2. It is carried. The motion as tabled by Councillor Pepper is the carrying motion. Did you want a division at all? No? Fine, no. Noted. Right, we'll move on to 9.4, which is the 2026-27 budget community engagement. Mr. Hull, you're busy tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, believe it or not, the preparations have started for the 26-27 budget process. Internally, things are well on the way. We have a proposal for the community consultation process to build on recent developments, including that of the council plan and the strategic documents of the asset plan and the long-term financial plan and rating and revenue plan. So the report here tonight seeks council resolution to start the community engagement process in mid-January, which will be obviously before our next scheduled council meeting, to undertake community engagement across the 5 areas listed in early February, and that the focus of the community consultation be on 3 elements that have arisen out of those strategic documents, being the allocation of the new $500,000 capital expenditure, where the additional $1 million renewal should be spent, and to seek community feedback on the differential rating structure. Focus on those 3 elements. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, and I thank you for bringing this forward to this meeting. Councillors, yes, we're starting to prepare for the budget. Community consultation, again, I know it feels like we've just done our community consultation and adopted the budget, but here we go again. There is a recommendation there on page 28, councillors, that we go and start our community engagement on the 19th of January through to the 15th of February 2026. Councillor Carr.
Happy to move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thanks for reading it out.
That's right. Councillor Pepper. Thanks. Seconded. Thank you, Councillor Carr. I was waiting for somebody to move it. Any discussion on this point, Councillor Carr?
Yeah, the budget's a very important document, Madam Mayor, and look, the community engagement is extremely important. We have very limited funds that aren't already allocated or assigned, so it's important that as a council group we hear from the community as to what their priorities are, so that helps shape where that small number is allocated in this year or the years to come, Madam Mayor. So I look forward to meeting everyone and I look forward to the feedback.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Pavon?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to say to the community to get on board, and if you've got something to say, you want to say something, well then, about the situation, well then here's your opportunity. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, the motion is as tabled on page 28, moved by Councillor Carr and second by Councillor Pepper. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. So 9.5 is the appointment of a councillor representative to the Audit and Risk Committee. Councillors, can I suggest that Councillor Angelino is the only councillor that's come forward and said that he would wish to nominate. So perhaps I could have a Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the recommendation that Council appoints Councillor Angelino as Councillor Representative to the Audit and Risk Committee for the remainder of the current Council term.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Jowett. Thank you. Councillor McDonald, any need for any comment?
No, I'll just comment on the fact that I've been on the Audit and Risk for the last 12 months, and the experience of that is it's just a broadening of understanding of how the committee does an amazing job and how they watch over anything that's council needs to be just a second pair of eyes on. So it'll be a really valuable experience for Councillor Angelino. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillors, the motion is that Council appoint Councillor Angelino to the Audit and Risk Committee. Moved by Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Jowett. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. The CEO has declared a conflict of interest in the following item and will leave the chamber. We will have you back at the end. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. So 9.6 is the CEO Employment and Remuneration Committee. Councillors, as I chair that and we were all part of that, as per the CEO's contract, we have an annual review which has been undertaken in line with the Local Government Act of 2020. Councillors, there is a recommendation for a motion there on page 32. Is somebody prepared to move, please? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move the recommendation that Council 1 receives the CEO Employment and Remuneration Committee 8th of December meeting minutes. 2, recommends to Council a CEO pay increase of 3% backdated to the 29th of July 2025. And 3, recommends to Council that the CEO has completed and satisfied the full 12-month review process.
Thank you. Councillor Noski.
Second.
Happy to second. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Procedural.
Procedural. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Noski.
It's procedural, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The motion is as tabled on page 32 in its entirety, moved by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Noski. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Good. Thank you. We'll move on to 9.7, which is the audited financial statements and performance statements as at the June 30, 2024. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The audit of Council's financial circumstances for 24-25 has taken some time. The predominant issue has again been the revaluation of our assets infrastructure. The council staff have been working with the auditors and including representatives from Vargo over the last few weeks to provide supporting information for the valuations and the figures used. The auditor was able to support that as of the start of last week. The financial statements and the LGPRF reporting were then presented to the Audit and Risk Committee on Thursday of last week, who have provided their assurances of the financial statements, and in accordance with the requirements, we're now seeking Council in principle support to send this information off to Vargo, who will then issue the assurance certificate to be included in the annual report. Madam Mayor, I've also got an email from our representative at Vargo late today advising that he's actually gone through that and has no concerns and will be happy to issue the certificate, just to tidy up a couple of points, and that will be all that's required.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Councillors, we're aware...
Can I move the motion?
You can move the motion.
I'd like to move that Council approves in principle the audited financial report and performance statement, including governance and management checklist for the year ended 30 June 2025, that Councillors Stephen and Joward be authorised to certify the financial report and performance statement to the year ended 30th June 2025 in their final form after any changes recommended or agreed to by the auditor have been made.
Thank you, Councillor
Happy to
Noski.
second, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Carr. Any comments, Councillor Noski? Straightforward.
No, procedural.
Straightforward. Thank you. The motion is moved as it appears on page 35 of tonight's paper. Moved by Councillor Noski, second by Councillor Carr. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to S6A, Instrument of Delegation under the Planning Environment Act of 1987. Mr Hull.
Madam Mayor, councillors will be now familiar with Council's S6 delegation and what that provides as far as Council's ability. There has been some recent changes to the Planning and Environment Act, and Maddix, our subscriber, has recommended that there actually be a mini update done to just reflect some of these changes. There is the attachment there highlights where some are repealed and some of the provisions have changed sequencing and numbers.
Thank you, Mr Hall. Councillors, there's a recommendation there on page 37. Is somebody prepared to move, please? Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation in dot point 1 and 2 in its entirety on page 37.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Seconder. Councillor Noski. Thank you. Procedural.
Yes.
Happy to put that. The motion is now as tabled on page 37, moved by Councillor Carr and second by Councillor Noski. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, Councillor Pepper, you like this one? Contracts approved under the CEO's delegation between the 1st of September 25 and the 30th of November 25. Mr Hall.
Madam Mayor, so as if looking into the future with Councillor's Pepper recommendation, this is a report of contracts that were approved by the CEO within her delegation over the last quarter. There is two that are highlighted there. Happy to take any questions or queries.
Are there any questions on any of these? If not, there is a recommendation there on page 39. Councillor Carr.
Happy to move the recommendation 1 and 2 in its entirety, Madam Mayor, on page 39.
Councillor Pepper, thank you. Any comments, Councillor Carr or Councillor Pepper?
No, I think it's fantastic for transparency, Madam Mayor, and look forward to this on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. Councillor Pepper?
No.
Reinforce that?
Yes.
Thank you. Sounds good to me. All right. Councillors, the motion is tabled on page 39 in its entirety, which was moved by Councillor Carr and second by Councillor Pepper. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, I'd like to move an item of urgent business in relation to a request of all mayors across Victoria in relation to the Bondi Beach incident. Are you happy? Thank you, Councillor Carr. Second, Councillor McDonald. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, yesterday I was approached by the Jennifer Anderson, President of the MAV, to sign off condemning the tragedy and stand in solidarity to all affected and stand as a united voice from all local governments across the state to send a powerful message of compassion, resilience and support for our Juris communities through this difficult time. Councillors, I did co-sign that statement. There was a full statement there which I'm happy to circulate to you on the tragedy at Bondi Beach, but we certainly stand in solidarity with all councils, and I think that we all will reflect profoundly on that in the coming days and weeks. So, councillors, I will circulate that to you later tonight. Thank you. If you could just accept that, I'll move it. Councillor Carr, you second?
Yes.
Thank you. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, question time. I did have a question here somewhere. Councillors, we had a question for Mr Craig Wood of Casterton, who asked the following question. I note that the Glenelg Shire Council, as per National Flag Protocol, often flies the national flags at half-mast outside council offices upon the death of prominent local citizens. Is there a criteria that council staff use in deciding when this is to occur, and is there a central, consistent or unified way in which council alerts the public as to why or for whom the flag is lowered on any particular day? We will respond to Mr Wood, but just so you know, the council routinely suggests instructions from the Department of Premier and Cabinet, which we follow about the flags at public buildings that must be flown at half-mast. In addition to these state and federal instructions, we have local procedures that specify which flags are to be flown, when and how they are flown on special days. The procedure also provides discretion for flying flags at half-mast on days of significance or remembrance of persons or events relevant to people of the Glenelg Shire. The reason for changes is provided to councillors through an internal memo. And councillors, you would have seen today that the flags will fly at half-mast for the state funeral of Alan Moffat. Councillors, that is the end of our formal council meeting. I'd just like to take this opportunity to wish our community and all of you a very Merry Christmas and all the best for the coming year. That is the last meeting.
Mayor, we have a confidential item that we need to deal with.
No, we don't.
We don't? No. We don't have to accept
Thank you,
the minutes.
councillors. That is the final meeting for 2025. I wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas and all the best, and we look forward to resuming council in January. Thank you.
Thank you.